Paranormal. That cannot be explained by scientific methods.
Told of a creature that was 6.5 to 7 feet tall.
The CIA ran secret mind control experiments.
It's a tale of a creature that's been seen by many, but believed by few.
And experts say there have been reported sightings of paranormal activity.
And there was this creature, and it ran down this hill.
They say something was flying over their house, and they have no idea what it was.
How the world's most powerful individuals are actually shape-shifting reptilians.
My scariest ghost hunting experience.
Beyond reality. Radio.
Well, hey, everybody. Welcome to Beyond Reality Radio with Jason and JV. And if you haven't yet, head over to facebook.com/Beyond Reality Radio, like the Facebook page for us. Then head to BeyondRealityRadio.com, where you can find all the great stations we are on across the country. You can also download the free iPhone and Android app right there. It allows you to listen live, catch past shows, join the online chat, and more. Or just click the Listen Live tab, and you can listen right from the website while hanging out in a chat room with JV, myself, and a great community of people.
Yeah, a lot of cool people in the chat room for sure. And tonight we're going to be talking with, we've got another, not trifecta, a bifecta, I guess, or a difecta, I don't know, of guests, two guests anyway. Jody Dean will join us in the first part of the show. He's a paranormal investigator, a warlock, and an empath. We're going to talk about his methods of investigating, and we're going to talk about the haunted doll that he bought at a garage sale recently. And this whole idea of witchcraft being used to fuel paranormal investigations. It's not one we've talked about on the show before, but I'm anxious to have the conversation.
Yeah, now, I've told you, I hate dolls. I do. But there's this whole thing where a lot of people have this weird thing that they believe that these dolls become possessed. What's your take on it, man?
Well,
since the movie Chucky, everybody's got a possessed doll.
Yeah, exactly. My take is that I know your bad experiences with dolls as a little kid, and you had those Barbies, and they just
put the GI Joe head on them. I did that to my poor sister.
Strap bottle rockets to them. You send them for flying.
We did do things like that, M80s and stuff, to see which ones could hang out.
But no, but I know what you're saying, and I think obviously anything that's got a face. And a doll has a face generally, and it's just got that blank stare. It can just be creepy just by itself, just from what it is, especially if you're looking at it in the wrong light. So I can understand why people would automatically assume that. But I don't know. Maybe there is something to the fact that, spirits attach themselves to something with a human form, and a doll has a human form. So there very well could be something to it.
Yeah, very possible.
I don't know, but it could be.
Well, it'll definitely be interesting to find out.
Yeah. Tomorrow night, we're going to talk with Ronald Murphy. He's a cryptozoologist and a Fortean researcher. We're going to be discussing portals and zoo forms. And, of course, Friday night's a best of. And next week, we've got a returning guest, Monday night.
Yes, we've got Rebecca Foster, spiritual medium, and we'll be discussing angels and devils and a ton of other things.
Yeah, a lot of good stuff coming up. Other than this peanut butter discussion that I really wanted to open the show with, because I thought it was very important. You like peanut butter, right? I mean, it's good.
Yeah.
You ever just go like kitchen, just grab a tablespoon, grab a spoonful? No, you don't do that.
No, that's just why would I do that?
Because it's yummy. It's delicious.
Yeah, but it just doesn't work out well. It's kind of like the whole. Like I told my kid the other day. I said, I'll give you $5 if you can eat 12 saltine crackers without taking a sip of water.
Could you do it?
I did not have to give him $5.
Really? I've never tried that.
I mean, that kid, he was even an hour after. He's like, my mouth is still dry.
Is that one of those like YouTube challenges where try to eat a spoonful of cinnamon or something like that? I
saw it on Outrageous Acts of Science or something, but it's So I just took a challenge, and hey, $5. It didn't cost me anything, and I still got some serious enjoyment.
Well, I was going to say that I checked out Jody Dean's YouTube channel earlier, and it's huntingthedead.com. He's got some very, very interesting, maybe even controversial ways of trying to provoke paranormal activity. So we'll have a good chance to talk with him. And if you want to ask him some questions, be prepared to call in. We're going to open up the phone lines early because we have two guests tonight. And the number is 844-687-7669.
Yeah, and if you have any questions or doubts or concerns about what we're talking with them about, Jody and so forth, and the so-called haunted doll, you make sure you give us a shout. Hey, this sort of... Everything's changing these days. You know that.
Oh,
man.
Absolutely.
So genetically modified meat is now close to becoming a food option.
Anytime you start talking about genetically modified and food in the same sentence, I get a little concerned.
Yeah, but in return, also, you can, if you really look back at the vegetables and fruit, they've all been genetically modified throughout history.
And let me ask you that, exactly. And what's the difference between selective breeding and genetically modifying? I mean, ultimately, isn't it kind of the same thing?
Yeah.
Selective breeding, you're looking for things with certain genetic traits.
Well, exactly.
And you're putting them together to enhance those traits.
Yeah,
it's a form of genetic modification.
And, of course, it's no longer a surprise to hear scientists have figured out different ways to alter animals in new creative ways, if you think about it. So this is kind of goes a little beyond the whole laboratory. But in the U.S., a complex regulatory process from the Food and Drug Administration has hindered those who wanted to bring gene-edited livestock to market. But if the industry officials have their way, that won't be the case much longer. MIT Technology Review reports that gene editing companies and biotechnology lobbyists are trying to convince the Trump administration to move the regulation of edited animals to the U.S. Department of Agriculture. So this is going to be interesting.
So
they've been just modifying. Of course, they're doing it to get them larger faster and all these growth hormones and everything.
Faster,
but then again, you're also dealing with children now. Just going through different changes a lot earlier because of everything right down to the hormones in the chickens and all that. So it does have me a little concerned. I mean, it's getting to the point where you just want to grow all your own stuff and raise your own stuff at home, and you'll feel safe.
Right. It's kind of like a 180 because that's what we used to do. But you're right. I mean, we're just now starting to understand the implications of antibiotics in our food and other types of hormones, growth hormones, whatever they happen to be in our food. This is a whole new science, and this is a whole new. I think we're only a generation or two into the world where these things have been done, so we don't fully understand the implications on life.
But you also got to look at just the cancer rates and everything else that seem to really have a huge uprising. But every time I go overseas, and you've been overseas many times, the food's totally different. I mean, chocolate's different. They can't do the wax fillers that they do here in the United States. Soda's different, right down to the meat. When I was in the UK, one of the big things was that they were having a shortage of milk, and one of the newspapers had a thing that UK may have to take U.S. inferior milk because of all the hormones and things.
I'll tell you what, I've drank milk in Europe a lot of times, and it's not nearly as good as the milk we have here. So I don't know what they're talking about.
Is it as good for you?
I don't know. I can tell you as far as tasting and freshness, it seems a lot better here. And I'll also say this. I mean, this is a debate that needs to be had. It needs to happen. However, life expectancy is way ahead of where it used to be 100 years ago when they weren't doing these things. There's a lot of things to consider in this whole equation. I don't like to ring these alarm bells, but I think we need to look at it.
Yeah, but then again, also we look back and some of our grandparents who lived to 100 years old who were smoking 2 packs of cigarettes a day. So it's there's definitely a lot of changes and
they
just
were
a lot
just
of things.
Tough dudes.
Well, they were.
Women.
I mean, yeah, geez, think of the things they went through.
Living through the Depression and all that, man.
Well, but back then, I mean, you had them storming the beaches in Normandy.
I know.
And now you say one thing wrong, and you've got a teenager or a 21-year-old who has to go to their safe place.
Yeah, no, I talk to my kids who are in that 21, 23-year-old range all the time. I'm like, I'm telling my son, there were people your age and younger storming the beaches at Normandy through a hail of gunfire, or they were flying bombing missions over Nazi Germany.
Now you don't even know how to check the oil in your car.
And you can't walk to the grocery store for me.
Exactly.
I mean, come on.
Oh my gosh, the world has changed.
It's crazy.
All right, so I think that's our rant. All right, so again, the phone number is 844-687-7669. Toll free at 844-687-7669. We're going to take a quick break. More to come. You listen to Jason and JV Beyond Reality Radio. We'll be back after this.
Okay, Beyond Reality Radio friends, this is JV, and I'm telling you need to go check out Scaricon.com. It's the website for the event coming up in June in New England. In fact, it's in Framingham, Massachusetts, and it's a fan convention that features paranormal, horror, sci-fi celebrity guests, plus panel discussions, film premieres and screenings, parties, and a whole lot more. A lot of fan interaction, collectibles, great vendors, a lot of great stuff. It's being held June 6th and 17th in Framingham, Massachusetts. All the details are being put up on Scaricon.com. Check it out. Welcome back to the show. It's Beyond Reality Radio with Jason and JV. And Jay, we were just talking about during the break, you realize that we're almost at a point where all of the World War II vets have passed on. Yeah. I mean, there are very few left compared to, what we probably grew up with. And pretty soon that greatest generation will no longer exist at all.
And that truly was the greatest generation. I mean, you're talking about people who just ran to sign up and to defend the country and
the world.
Well, yeah, and knowing that they most likely weren't going to return. Yeah,
it's pretty amazing stuff. I recommend that if anybody gets a chance, watch things like Band of Brothers. I mean, that really puts it in perspective. So, and that's not what this show's about, but I do think it's worth understanding and appreciating what that group of men and women did then for us, because we are the beneficiaries of what they did and what they sacrificed.
I 100% agree.
All right, so that's enough of that kind of talk. Let's go to our guest line and bring our guest for tonight in. Jody Dean is joining us. Jody is a paranormal investigator, a warlock, and an empath. We got a whole bunch of things to talk to Jody about. So, hey, Jody, welcome to the show. Great to have you on.
Jason, JV, thanks for having me on, guys. Appreciate it.
Hey, welcome to the show.
Okay, so this is kind of a short segment, but it's enough time for us to kind of get to know you a little bit. How did you get started in this whole paranormal thing?
Actually, big thanks to Jason, Ghost Hunters, shows that were on TV 8 years ago. I was a skeptic. I was watching some of the shows, and to me, they were entertaining. I really didn't believe a lot of things that I seen and I heard, and my curiosity got me. Went out, got a digital voice recorder, K2 meter, went to some haunted places, and I started trying to do my own investigations, and I captured evidence. It just blew my mind, voices and spikes at the same time, that double validation that just, two things happening at once just kind of said, wow, this is real. And I dove in head first, and I've been addicted ever since. And it's 8 years later, a little over 500 investigations, and I'm here.
Well, and that's the thing. Once you catch something, it really does become an addiction, because you just want to. Well, first off, you want to figure it out, you want to understand it, but you also want to get more and more and better evidence, and you just keep on going.
Absolutely, yeah. You're constantly trying to up the caliber of evidence, and that's where I'm at now. I heard you say earlier, I have some unusual methods, you could say. And that has a lot to do with that, because you're always trying to up the ante. And, I do whatever I have to do to get the best evidence. And that's pretty much what I'm known for.
Well, and that's the way you got to look at it. And a lot of people out there will look at it. Well, they'll look at it as, he's doing this wrong, or they're doing that wrong, or I don't like how, but they don't understand that everybody doing things their own way is what helps really push a field forward, because people they're doing things their own way, seeing what works, what doesn't work, and somebody who might never try your method, but you're able to try your method, which at least lets us know if does that work or not, and so you can take it to the next step.
Absolutely, it's for the research, and this research is very important because as I said, I was a skeptic, and now I'm in the middle of writing a book. I've learned so much in 8 years that I think I have something to contribute to people, to let them know, how I believe it works and why it works. So it's a beautiful thing. This has really changed my life, and I see it changing so many people's life now. The paranormal game has just, as you guys have seen, man, it's blown up. It's everywhere now. There's so many groups out there. There's so many people, to where, 8 years ago, it wasn't like it is today. Now it's just insane. Everybody and their grandmother wants to get a voice recorder, wants to get a spirit box, wants to be out there in the field. And you can't blame them, because, it is mind-blowing that we can capture somebody's voice that we don't see nobody in front of us. We're not talking. We ask a question, and we record that, play it back, and there's somebody else's voice there. That's compelling.
And we've got a little less than a minute here, about 30 seconds actually, but I wanted to take you back here. You said you were watching the shows and you got very interested, and then you went out, got some equipment, you started doing your own investigations. Not everybody who sees the shows and loves the shows actually takes that next step. What was it that made you take the step from being a watcher of the shows to an investigator? And you got about 30 seconds.
It just, I wanted to believe it. I really did. And I said, you know what, I'm just going to go out there and give it a shot. And when I did, it blew my mind, and started getting more equipment, doing more investigations. And, thanks to the shows, that's why I'm here now.
All right, we're going to take a break. When we come back, we're going to get into more detail about how Jody does his work. It's Beyond Reality Radio.
Yeah, the phone number, if you got a question, is 844-687-7669. Again, toll free at 844-687-7669. Give us a call if you have a question for us or our guest, Jody. You're listening to Jason and JV on Beyond Reality Radio. We'll be back after this.
We do a lot of laughing on the show. We try to have fun with even though these topics are very, very serious. We have a lot of fun, and you guys can't see what Jason and I are looking at during the breaks. But
we'd be in a lot of trouble if they could.
If this was a video feed, there would seriously be FCC or legal, a CIA maybe even consequences to all this.
There would be a big explicit content.
Right, it'd be this big banner across the front. Nobody, and the chat room, people are cracking me up in there too. It's a great night. Anyway, we're talking with Jody Dean tonight, and Jody has a website. It's called huntingthedead.com, YouTube channel, a whole bunch of stuff. And Jody, we're not going to have a whole lot of time, so we got to kind of run through this stuff pretty quickly. Let's talk about the haunted doll. How'd you get this doll?
Okay, well, I'm a huge retro gamer, and I was out at yard sales looking for some games. It's the best way to find them nowadays. There's so much money. So I go to this yard sale. I ask the guy if he has any games, and he pulls out a few. I'm like, cool, we make a deal. I look to my left, and there is this doll, very creepy eyes, just piercing right into me. And I said out loud, I said, that doll, she's got some pretty eyes, but they're also creepy. And he looks at me, and I'll never forget the look, man. He looked like this thing had been haunting the hell out of him. And he said, that doll terrifies me to death. And I asked why, and I'm just hoping to God he's going to tell me, this doll is haunted and he wants to sell it. And he starts telling me ever since he got the doll, there's just been an energy that came into the home that has been so intense that he can't even look at the doll, can't come around the doll, so he keeps her in the garage. And he never goes in the garage. If he does go in the garage, he makes it really quick. He just tries to stay away from it. And I'm like, well, do you want to sell her? We talked some numbers, and I bought the doll from him. Nope. I don't know why he didn't sell the doll before then, get rid of the doll if it bothered him that bad.
Yeah, or at least just give it away.
I bring the doll home, and we started investigating it right away, me and my wife, Alicia. And it would respond to certain things. Like at first, I'm like, I feel something here, but we're not getting any activity. There's no voices. There's nothing crazy happening. But then the doll, this narcissistic doll, starts responding to things when you would say things about it, like it being a pretty doll. I like your eyes. Anytime you paid the doll a compliment or said something about it, the K2 would go off and a voice would come through at the same time. Again, double validation of direct communication. And that's what really blew our mind is we figured out what you had to say to get this doll to respond. And it will, since, it's been almost 2 months ago now. And it still happens pretty regularly. Not every single time we sit down to investigate with it, but it happens a lot. The doll responds to certain things.
Well, now when you say it responds, is it through equipment that you're using, or is it that you actually hear a voice coming from this doll?
Both. Through Spirit Box, we're hearing the same voice, which is, it sounds like a younger woman's voice. And then through digital recorder, when we're recording and we play it back, we're hearing the same tone voice. So that's really compelling right there. And, usually when this is happening, there's like a huge EMF field that comes out of nowhere when we ask these certain questions. The the whole haunted doll thing, everybody nowadays, they say, oh, I've got a haunted doll. eBay's flooding with haunted dolls. But this one actually has so much substance to it that validates that it truly does have something. I don't believe that these spirits hide inside the doll. I believe they follow objects that mean a lot to them. Maybe because, JV said earlier, they're very human-like. They can identify with it. You never know the importance of these things to the person it belonged to. I have a doll that I believe to be haunted that was the doll of a little girl, and it was all she ever had. Her family was poor. She died in a car accident with that doll. That ended up in family's possession somehow, and they couldn't live with that and passed that down to me. This happened last year. I believe that doll to be haunted. So I think the right situation, these things can take a form, a life.
Have you seen the doll move at all? Have you any indication that you think it might move on its own?
The doll from the garage sale, no. Well, actually, no, that's not true. I have seen it move. It's moved like you'll leave the room and it'll be in a different spot. Sometimes I've been live streaming and people are like, wow, that doll just moved. I don't always catch it, and sometimes I don't see what everybody else sees, but I do notice that the doll being in different places, the head moved a little bit, little things like that. And it's a porcelain doll, too, so it's really different. It's compared to the plastic dolls out there. You don't hear about too many of the porcelain dolls being the haunted dolls.
I know you have a YouTube channel. You do a lot of stuff on YouTube. Have you ever just placed a camera on this doll with some audio running and just kind of streamed it, or just taped it for a while and then gone back and reviewed to see if you see anything or hear anything?
With the doll, just leaving it on the doll overnight, or just for a few hours even, I have not. That is something that I would like to do. It's actually been suggested in the last week or two by a few people. But one thing's for sure, if we sit down with her for 20 minutes and run the voice recorder and then play it back, we capture the voice, and it's the same voice every time, which is, that's the icing on the cake right there.
Yeah, it is for sure. Now, let's talk a little bit about what you do on YouTube. I happened to catch a little bit of one of your most recent live streams. I didn't see it live, but I saw it after the fact. Tell us what you're doing there. Give us the idea of what you set up to do. I think you do it every week.
The live streams I've been doing in a home that I came into that definitely was not haunted. I walked in here, didn't feel no energies, swept it with EMF detectors, did EVP work. And then another thing you guys don't know about me is I work in the funeral business. So I'm a crematorist. So I come home from work. I potentially can bring spirits home with me. I'm an investigator. I bring spirits home from investigations. I conjure through my witchcraft. I own several items that I believe to be haunted and other items that hold a lot of energy. So I set these items up for my live streams, and then I run it live, and I run the spirit box. I run tons of EMF detectors. And I broadcast it live so everybody can witness the activity as it unfolds. And it does. It's out of all the places I've been to, spending a lot of money going all over, this place has become one of the most haunted places that I have done.
And you do use the spirit box a lot, and there's still there's still some controversy out of that. How do you find it as far as a tool? Obviously, you like it, but tell us what you like about it.
Well, I've learned how to use them and how to read them. I understand a lot of people's doubts about them because you can hear a lot of radio frequencies. What I look for is the direct communication, the responses, the answers to my questions, the full voices, understanding how the sweeps run under the voice. I've got it to where I can almost count in my head, as I'm hearing the voice, how many sweeps ran under it. And that's a big thing, tuning your brain to understand the spirit box. In the beginning, that was really frustrating, trying to pick apart what could be a real-time EVP and what could just be some DJ on a radio that you're hearing a fragment of something he said. But now, I mean, as my YouTube channel will show, I have tons and tons of real-time responses, and I'm catching full sentences. And it's grown over time. It hasn't always been like that, but I feel that it's maybe things are more attached to me, what I'm doing, my stuff now more than ever, and they're coming through very strong.
Now, you're a warlock. So, and you talk about using witchcraft in your paranormal investigations to provoke activity. What do you do, and how does it work?
Well, there's all kinds of different things that we can do to provoke the activity, to conjure, from forms of divination, using nature, divination, certain rituals, using the Ouija board and other things as a catalyst to communicate with these things and bring things through, dowsing, pendulums, candle magic, runes, certain spell work. Sometimes I'll do certain spell work before an investigation or during an investigation if I'm not happy with the caliber of activity that I'm getting at the time. And I think once you notice, for me, I've learned spiritual energy very well. And I think anybody that's been investigating for a long time, you kind of walk into a place and you almost can feel it right away, or at least I've heard a lot of people say that, and I feel it. I know what it feels like, and sometimes it's stronger than others. And that's what we need to do in order for our spell work to work really well, is we need to identify that energy, pull that in, put our energy with it, and then just magnify it by, meditating and praising it, and really just amplifying it with whatever tools that we have.
Well, and we talk about that on the show often, because the more and more so-called haunted locations you go to, you tend to become, whether it's sensitive or just more sensitive to that type of energy, where you can walk into 1,000 so-called haunted locations, and out of those 800 have nothing going on. But your body tends to remember how you felt at those 200 that did have something going on. And
right.
Does that make you sensitive? No, but it makes you more sensitive than somebody who hasn't gone to 1,000 so-called haunted locations. So you're able to pick up on a lot more than others. And when you walk into a location, a lot of times you're able to tell right away if there is something there.
Right. Yeah, I absolutely agree. And I've tried to build on it as much as possible, constantly looking for that energy throughout my days, wherever I go, whether it be the funeral home or haunted location in my own home. Constantly noticing the different energies. When a new energy comes in, is that a new spirit? And that's where I've kind of built a little bit of an empathicness. I don't claim to be, a psychic or anything like that. I can tell you the future. I have empathic capabilities to where, I can feel these things. Is it bad? Is it good? What intentions are there? I've got to where names come to me, which is really ironic that more recently, these names that are coming to me end up coming through on through EVP. So again, I always try and double validate everything. That's what I look for. I think we all do. I think that's the best when two things, three things happen at once. And I've been lucky and blessed enough to capture that kind of evidence.
Jody, if someone new were to come to your YouTube channel and watch the way you conduct your, I'm not going to call it an investigation, because I think from what I've seen, I've only seen one. You're in a room in your house and you've got all these items around you that may or may not have spirits attached to them, and you're trying to just evoke some stuff. But your techniques might be considered a little aggressive by some. At one point, I saw you holding a noose up that you said somebody had hung themselves with. Another point, you had what looked to be like a skull of a head of cattle or something. What do you do, and how do those tools help you?
Well, as I mentioned, I have several objects that I believe to be haunted. That noose was found in a barn where a family member of my wife's actually did hang themselves. It was found down the road, years down the road. And knowing what I do and what I collect, the crazy stuff, they gave it to me. I feel like things that hold energy, And sometimes when I do an investigation, yeah, I'll pull them out. I'll throw gas on the fire. I'll provoke. I reference it to, I don't know if anybody else had this, but when I was in school, you have those kids that were always instigators that would poke at you and say things. And eventually, you either fight them or say something back. And I think we've seen spirits are intelligent, and, we can use these same methods with them. It's not what I want to do. I don't want to go into a haunted location or in my home and start antagonizing them and making them uncomfortable. But I feel like sometimes, in order to get them to communicate, it's what needs to be done in order to get the research that I seek. And, the research is very important to me, and I do go outside of the box and push the limits to get the kind of stuff I feel will be beneficial to the future of the paranormal game. So.
Yeah, okay, so let's take a quick break, and when we come back, we'll wrap things up with Jody. Again, our guest is Jody Dean. His website is huntingthedead.com. Welcome back. It's Beyond Reality Radio. The phone number is 844-687-7669. We've got some folks on hold for our guest, Jody Dean. We're going to try to get to these calls, but we're running out of time. In fact, we might try to keep Jody for a few minutes on the other side of the top of the hour so we can get some of these questions answered. Jody, we only have a minute or so here on this side of the top of the hour, but you said you've done 500 investigations. Have they been primarily residential, or what type of places do you go to?
All kinds of places. My favorite are residential. I've from residential to graveyards to abandoned buildings to known haunted places on on the registries. Even one of the most haunted places in the state of Florida. I go all over. I try and travel as much as I possibly can. And just in the last year, to give you an idea, I've posted 300 videos on my YouTube channel, are all investigations which I captured good evidence.
And by good evidence, what type of stuff are you talking about? Apparitions, things moving? What do you see?
Everything from shadow figures to Class A EVPs to anomalies to pictures. Actually, I've caught several shadow figures. Lots and lots of poltergeist-like activity. Things moving, doors closing, lots of doors closing, things like that.
Awesome. All right, so we're going to take a break, and when we come back, we'll definitely, we got a lot more to talk to you. If you haven't yet, head over to facebook.com/Beyond Reality Radio, like the Facebook page for us. Then head to beyondrealityradio.com, where you can download the free iPhone and Android app, find all the stations we air on across the country, or listen live right from the website just by clicking the Listen Live button, a connection to an online chat where JV, myself, and a great community of people are. The phone number is 844-687-7669. Again, toll free at 844-687-7669. You're listening to Jason and JV on Beyond Reality Radio. We'll be back after this. It's Wednesday on the West Coast, Thursday on the East Coast. Many are stuck somewhere in between. Welcome to Beyond Reality Radio with myself, Jason Hawes, and the always awesome JV Johnson.
Okay, so tonight's it's not Tuesday, but now it's Thursday on the East, as you just said, Jay, and we have a two for Thursday. We've got two guests tonight, and we're going to keep our first guest just one more segment here. Jody Dean is a paranormal investigator, also a warlock and an empath. His website is huntingthedead.com. I think it takes it right to his YouTube channel. And then a little bit later, after our next break, we're going to bring our second guest in, Craig Nearing, who's the author of a couple of books about some very interesting haunted places in Wisconsin. He's done a ton of investigations. He's going to talk about his investigative teams, the books, and his investigations as he conducts them.
Yes, and tomorrow night we're talking with Ronald Murphy Jr., a cryptozoologist and Fortean researcher, and we'll be discussing portals and zoo forms. And then every Friday, of course, is a best of Beyond Reality Radio, so make sure you check out the show.
Did I see it correctly? Do we have next week somebody coming in who's a demon seer?
Yes.
Did I read that properly?
Psychic medium, which...
June Lundgren. Interesting.
Being a demon seer, that would kind of suck.
It would if you can't get him out of your view, because that would just be horrifying all the time.
Yeah, it wouldn't be good.
Yeah.
Hey, if you haven't yet, make sure you head over to facebook.com/Beyond Reality Radio and like the Facebook page for us. Then head to beyondrealityradio.com. You can find all the stations we are on, get the free apps, or listen live right on the show, right on the website. If you download the show from iTunes, do us a favor and just rate it for us because it helps push the show forward and makes it easier for people to find.
Is it half-price apps right now, or
it's free apps?
Free apps, even
free
better.
Apps.
Gotta like free apps.
We don't charge for apps, so we let others do that.
Yeah, we don't.
That's not our way.
Nope, it's not. All right, let's bring our guest back in. Jody Dean is with us, and Jody, we talked a little bit about your investigations and the number that you've done and some of the evidence that you've caught. You've posted a lot of it on your YouTube channel. When you do these investigations, are you alone, or do you have a team that you work with?
I'm a solo investigator. I've never worked with a team. I've always preferred to just be one brain at the location. Occasionally I like to bring a witness along or a friend, just to have somebody there to witness this for themselves, especially the skeptics. I love that. But yeah, I'm a one-man band going to all these places by myself.
Well, we don't have a lot of time, and we got to bring our next guest in here. So I just want to try to grab a phone call or two here while we can. This is Catherine calling from Canada. Hey, Catherine, welcome to the show.
Hey, Jason, how are you tonight?
Good. Welcome to the show.
It's good to be here.
What's on your mind, Catherine?
I also moderate for Jody's live stream. I'm one of his moderators.
Oh, cool.
Oh, hey, Kat.
How you doing, Jody?
Doing good. Do you have a question?
Yeah, I just wanted to actually say that Jody and I did a one-on-one earlier a few months ago, and we got results. And I was wondering how the editing went with that. Did you catch anything significant that we talked about?
Yes, absolutely. What she's talking about is what we did was we did a video face-to-face over Facebook. And what I tried to do was to see if through our frequency we could capture any responses that may be relevant to Catherine, her wanting to get in touch with her mother and her late husband. We used digital voice recorder, we used a spirit box, and then I videoed all this. And Catherine, yes, I have put that together. As you know, I've been in the middle of moving, just bought a new house, so I will try and get that up very soon. But I think there are some responses in there that you would have to tell me what they mean to you. I do not recognize the voice as any regulars, but I do like this method of trying this over the internet. I think that it is a possibility, as I've seen doing this with some people, that potentially things on their side can come through, because as we know, spirits are energy and they can communicate with us through frequency.
All right. Well, thanks for the call.
Yes, thank you, Catherine. Jody, we're out of time here. I've given the website, which is huntingthedead.com. That takes, at least when I use it, took you right to a YouTube channel. Is there anything else? Yeah. Anything else you want to let folks know about how they can get in touch with you or just kind of participate in your work?
I think you guys said it all there, man. It's huntingthedead.com. Take you right to my YouTube channel. You can also like the Hunting Dead Facebook page if you like. And I just want to give a big thank you to you guys for having me on tonight and doing what you do. And you guys have definitely made a big mark in this world, in this game, and I appreciate what you do, and the show is awesome, man. So keep rocking, guys, and thank you so much.
Well, thank you for coming on, Jody, and we look forward to talking to you again at some point.
Appreciate that.
All right, again, it's Jody Dean. The website is huntingthedead.com. We're going to go to break. When we come back, we'll bring our second guest of the evening in. Craig Nearing will join us.
All right, you listen to Jason and JV on Beyond Reality Radio. We'll be back after this.